Man, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Tyrone Hunter back in the building with another edition of What's Really Good Entertainment. If you just checking in for the first time, make sure you hit the like button on the way in the door. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on the way out the door. If you've been rocking with me, and I appreciate you. Shout out to you. Salute to you. You already know how we do. We going up. You know my motto, man. You see the title. I'm not going to hold you. We're going to get right into it. So today what we're going to be talking about is the young gangsters versus the OGs. Why is that important? That's important because nowadays, even if you're not in a gang, we're living in a day, a time, and an age where so many people are gang related, so many people are associated with gangs, so many people know people that are in gangs. That this is an interesting conversation to have, right? So if this is something that you're interested in, or even if it's not something you're interested in, you just, want to hear my spill that's real, make sure you stick around and stay to the end of the video. Stay to the end of the video because this is for information purposes only. So check me out. So right now in society, in the streets, it's a whole lot of gang shit going on. It's a whole lot of killings, whole lot of shootings, whole lot of stabbings. Pretty much, like I said, a whole lot of gang activities. And there used to be a time where gang activities was confined only to certain areas, meaning the real bad neighborhoods. It was a time where you could distinguish between what was a bad area and what was a safe area. But nowadays, it seems to be happening in every area. It seems people are getting, shot and killed in restaurants and malls and parking garages. Cars are getting shot up. A lot of innocent people, civilians, are getting carjacked. And a lot of people is trying to understand why. Well, let me help you out. The reason why these things are going on is because the younger generation, they're creating their own rules and they're creating what they think being a gangster is or gangbanging is. There's a divide between them and the OGs. In addition to that, a lot of the OGs, they're to that age where they're either retired, they're either laying back, they done bumped their head, but so many times. They done been to prison, but so many times. Now they're just really trying to fall back and enjoy their life. Because if you got 15, 20, 25, 30 years in of gangbanging, you already saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you made that determination, like, nah, I can't be on the front line with it because you don't have that youth no more where you could go to prison at 50 years old and be shaking, rattling, rolling, with these young tyrants that's coming in. And that's called intelligence. That's called wisdom. That's what happens in time and with age. So you have a lot of these young bulls out there. You have a lot of these young gangsters out there that they think they know it all. They think that their way is the way. They think that the way to solve conflicts and disputes is shoot first, ask questions last. They haven't been in a situation where they go to court and the judge say you got life in jail and they got an opportunity, to come out off of a situation like that. They haven't been through or experienced enough where they learned some valuable lessons. And it's important that the young gangsters learn valuable lessons because one thing for sure and two things for certain. And being a gangbanger, that's a dangerous profession. And being in a gang, period, is a very dangerous profession, right? So now, add to that the fact that you're committing crimes against civilians. Once the police or the powers that be found out that you are the one that committed those crimes, They go after your entire gang. That's when the RICO charges start coming. That's when the big indictments start coming. That's when they start targeting you. And whereas if you would have did that to somebody that was in the streets, you know, or if it was just done in certain areas, you would have still got some time. But now they're trying to throw the book at you. And y'all don't realize that this is the kind of environment that's being created. Some people ask the question, well, why the OGs, the older individuals, is not trying to pull this younger generation up and offer them no information? They tried. They've been trying. But when you're dealing with a generation of individuals that are not thinking, that are moving off of emotions, they're also moving off of an image that they have in their mind of what a gangster's supposed to be, and that's all they see. They don't see nothing else. It's no reasoning with them. Sometimes you just have to let them learn from their own experiences and hope for the best. And then once they get to the penitentiary and they behind the walls with the real gangsters and the real OGs, then they'll get some straightening. But eventually, everybody gets some straightening, right? And to the younger generation, the young gangsters, what I would like for y'all to know, or even those that are young and you seeing the gangsters, you seeing what they're doing, and you're kind of idolizing that. You kind of like, you know, should I jump in? Should I stay here? Should I jump in? Should I stay here? Let me explain this to you. OGs are OGs for a reason. To have survived being in a gang, being a gangster for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and they're still living, that means they know something. That means they know how to move. That means they know how to maneuver in the terrain. That means they know how to put in work and get away. That means for all of these years that they've been putting in work and they still recognized as being gang members, that means that they have something that they can teach you. See, a lot of y'all are coming in at a time where everything is already well established and organized. You can't come in and put your own spin on it, because what's been working is the reason why you were able to be a part of what's going on. And how you move and how you do things and how you go about this lifestyle that you live in is going to determine where the gang going to be in the future. So you have to ask yourself a question. Okay, so if I was given the power right now, would my gang survive? The answer to that question is it wouldn't. Because all of y'all, or a lot of y'all, great majority of y'all, are crashing out. Y'all not thinking about what makes sense for the entire gang. Y'all not thinking about what makes sense for the ones that's coming up after y'all. Y'all not thinking about the work that y'all putting in right now, the enemies that y'all creating. If y'all get murdered, y'all go to jail, the rest of the team still got to deal with those enemies, still got to deal with those situations that you caused and you created. So what is your purpose of being involved in a gang? A lot of y'all is just because it sound cool, it look cool, it seemed like the thing to do. You got somebody you know that was involved, and so you just trying to be down, and you trying to prove that you're this larger than life individual. But what you need to do is go and sit down with some of them OGs and let them tell you the stories about some of the homies that was just like you. Some of the homies that had the same heart as you. Some of the homies that was putting in the same kind of work as you and even more. And allow them OGs to tell you and to school you on what happened with those individuals. You don't have to learn by your own experiences. You'll save yourself a lot of time if you sit down and listen to what some of them big homies and what some of them OGs have to say. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every OG or every big homie or people that's considered a big homie, I'm not saying that all of them are the greatest source of information. I'm not saying all of them got the mindset where they could sit down and they could tell you something that makes sense, that could give you some real food for thought. But if, again, even them, they have some stories and they have some information that they could tell you that could give you some get right so you could avoid going through some of these situations that you're going to live to regret. A lot of people may be asking themselves, well, why I'm trying to give information to gangsters, to young gangsters, to young homies, especially given the fact that I'm no longer in a gang. Because that's the message in the bottle right there. I'm no longer in a gang for a reason. And because a lot of young brothers, a lot of young dudes out there are living this lifestyle, they are the next generation. Somebody have to give them some information. Somebody have to get them some game. I'm not here to try to convince you to leave the game, to leave your streets. You're going to do what it is that you want to do. You're going to do what it is that makes sense for you. But what I will tell you is to pay attention and try to learn from the ones that came before you. Because that's going to be your best teacher. Crashing out is not your best teacher. Because once you crash out, ain't no coming back. And keep in mind that if you in a gang, your enemies or your targets should be those that are in gangs, not kids, not innocent women, innocent children, innocent civilians. Because they didn't sign up for the things that you signed up for. Hopefully, with that being said, you understand that it's important. It's important to know the rules of engagement, to know the do's and the don'ts, to have an understanding that's greater than what you think you understand and you know. Because a lot of y'all young brothers, y'all haven't lived long enough to experience enough to know that y'all making the right decisions. Because if you live long enough, you will know that being in a gang ain't what it is. Because it's only a couple of avenues. Death, 100,000 years in jail. What are you going to succeed at? What are you going to accomplish? Aside from just being known as a gangster, a super gangster, a tough gangster, a smart gangster. Aside from that, through being in a gang, pay your bills. Through being in a gang, help you take care of your kids. Through being in a gang, help you become an asset to your family. Through being in a gang, benefit anybody in your family or even yourself for that matter. These are some of the questions you got to ask yourself. There are many gangsters that came before you. Go back in history and look at their stories and see how it played out. A lot of y'all young dudes, y'all look at, some dudes that's no longer in gangs, or some dudes that are OGs that they think and they move different and they try to give you some game. Y'all look at them as they lame. Y'all look at them as they don't got nothing to offer you. You look at them like, I'm not trying to hear that. That don't make no sense. I don't want to talk. Okay. You don't want to talk. That's perfectly fine. But listen, if you don't want to talk. Because if somebody been around and they been through it and they been where you never been, they could tell you about that road. See, you don't know no roads that you ain't traveled down yet. So this is just me giving some food for thought. And I'm not even going to go so far as to say that the OGs and the older members need to step up to the plate and they need to be a better example, because I know what y'all face and I know what y'all up against. I know y'all dealing with a lot of hard-headed individuals, that's making some decisions that's not in the best interest of the gang, But at this point in time, gangs is a part of life. So I just wanted to do my, my service as an individual who done been there, to drop some game on you, to drop some wisdom on you, to give you a little pull up. It's up to you what you do with it, because at the end of the day, we all just trying to find out what's really good. So for those people that are not in a gang, and for those people, that don't generally look at this kind of content that I make, let me explain something to you now. If somebody don't speak no sense into the individuals that's, in gangs or, into the things that they into in the community that's affecting all our lives, if somebody don't step up and speak, try to give them a different way of looking at things, tomorrow you could be the one that's affected by it, or I could be the one that's affected by it. So this is why somebody have to talk up. But tell me what you think about this. Do you think that this conversation is something that younger individuals want to hear? Do you think that this is a conversation that some of the older members and OGs feel is something that, they could do a better job with trying to enlighten some of these brothers before they crash out? Do society feel that gangbanging is a situation and a lifestyle that got so out of control and claimed the lives of so many people, that now there needs to be a change? Do you have some stories, some situation, and some circumstances that you may have experienced that you want to share, or something happened in your life, or something happened in the life of one of your loved ones, that you want to get an understanding of, or, you just want a platform just to be able to share your thoughts and opinions. Whatever the situation is, man, drop that in the comment box. I wish everybody blessings, peace, prosperity, and hope you make it home safe tonight and every night after. But it's your boy Tyrone Hunter, man. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you appreciate the content, if you feel that this information could help somebody else, make sure you share it. Don't keep it to yourself. Whatever you feel one way or another, man, put that in the comment box. It's Tyrone Hunter, man. This one is for the gang.